a lot of those lessons are going to help me a lot. So this is one thing that I learned that was very, very sort of powerful. It was a very important experience in my life. I want to tell you about another one. This is going to tell you about the power of observation. Okay? So, observation, right? It simply means you're watching. Just like when you're interviewing for a company, you're being observed at all times. But observation, next to listening, these are two of the most important skills you will ever have in life. Not even just business, I'm talking about life. You have to be able to observe, to watch people, to look at a situation and understand what's going on. We had another client manager. This is 5 years ago. Same situation. Milop was over here as well. That terrible boss that I had. We had another manager, right? This guy was supposed to help us. He was part of our client company, right? So this is the structure, right? You have the client, right? And you have my company, right? The consultants. Consulting company. And we're supposed to work together, right? On a project together. We're helping them, right? So people from this side, right? The managers from this side, and here's us on this side, right? They're supposed to help us, right? We need information from them, right? We need to sit in meetings with them, and we need to understand what do you need, what do you want, right? One of these guys was just, he would never ever come do meetings with us. We would email him because we needed information from him. And he would never respond to our emails, If he came to meetings, right? Like, he would come to meetings if his boss was there. He would be really, really how do I explain it? Like, very kind of rude. He would just kind of sit there quietly, he wouldn't say anything. He basically didn't like us. He didn't like the fact that they had a consulting team, right, over there. He didn't like that. So, the company had an interesting policy. In 4 days of the week, you have to wear suits or business casual, right? But on Fridays, you could just wear normal t-shirts and jeans and go to work if you wanted to, right? They used to call it casual Fridays. Casual because you can wear whatever you want, right? So normally, I would work there Monday through Thursday night, and Thursday I would fly back to New York and work from the home office. I didn't have to, this was in Chicago. But sometimes when the project became very, very busy, I used to stay there on Friday and fly Friday afternoon, right? So one Friday, I saw this guy. His name was Paul, I think, if I remember what his name is. And Paul was wearing a t-shirt, right, that had the logo, the symbol of a famous American football team, okay? And it was a college team, but there's a university called Notre Dame over here that's pretty famous, and they have a very famous college football team, right? So I noticed that he was wearing Notre Dame, right? And I'm really into college football. I'm a big fan, right? So I walked up to Paul. I was just walking past him in the cafeteria, and I was like, "Oh, wait, did you go to Notre Dame?" And he was like, "Yeah." In the beginning, he was just kind of, "Yeah, I went to Notre Dame." And then they had a game. They won this really close game past weekend, and we started talking about the game. And then he realized that I knew all about college football. And we ended up having lunch together that day. And we talked for an hour and a half just about American football and it turned out he was this huge fan of sports, and specifically American football and college sports in general. And we ended up having, and ever since that day, our relationship totally changed. Suddenly, every time I would email him, and sometimes I would send him emails hey, did you watch the game and stuff like that. He suddenly started responding to all the emails. I swear, this is what happened. He started coming to meetings. It was unbelievable. Suddenly, this guy started telling his colleagues that, yeah, if you guys have any questions, ask them. These guys are really good. He went from being someone who was so difficult to work with to someone who was one of our biggest supporters in our client company, right? It was very, very interesting. And I don't want to take the credit for it, because I think that ultimately he would have seen that we're smart guys. We're helping his company a lot, right? But maybe it would have taken him longer to get to that point. Sometimes when you're able to observe a little detail, something really, really small, it can be something very, very powerful. It doesn't seem like a lot, but it was really lucky that day that I just looked at it, I was like, that logo seems really familiar, and I just kind of looked over. He was standing on the other side of the room, and it's like, he's wearing a Notre Dame t-shirt. Wait a minute, I like that team too. So I just walked up to him, we started talking, and every time I saw him, we would just, he started offering us tickets to games and stuff. He's like, hey, listen, I have extra tickets if you guys want to go. And we went a couple of times to games and stuff. It was really, really, it's amazing how that one incident totally changed our relationship. And this is something that I always used to notice. And the thing is, it's also important to be genuine, right? In my case, it wasn't difficult for me because I think that a lot of times, right, especially in consulting, right, they try to hire people who are kind of, they listen to music and they have a lot of different interests. Because it's always easier if you can talk to your clients about many different things, not just about work, right? It's like they want to like you as a person as well. But a lot of times people are not genuine. For me, I was lucky because I love sports and I like American football a lot. So it was very easy for us to talk about even very obscure teams, right? Obscure means a team that's not very well known. Paul and I, we both knew about this team and all this other stuff, right? So it's very, very interesting actually. But it just shows you once again, the power of observation and the fact that, if you take the time to really observe your environment, you can find little things that are very, very important, right? That will ultimately have a huge effect on what you're trying to achieve, the things that you're trying to do, right? It can have a very, very big effect on that. So observation really is a very, very important character trait, and to be able to just watch. You don't have to say a lot, just watch. And your answers will become clear. Okay? So we've talked a lot about, so these are two situations, right? One in which, because of one lucky situation, a relationship became a lot better. We also talked about another one where I had a bad experience for 6 or 7 months, but I was able to use that experience to learn a lot, right? So I changed companies about 2 years ago. And, it's kind of like, this situation is completely different, right? The situation that I'm in right now. Over here, my boss, the person that I report to, right? He's someone who's, how do I explain it? He's not very intelligent. He's not very capable. He's just not. He's kind of, he's someone who, most people would joke around and they would say, how did he ever get this job? Well, one of the things you realize that in organizations, in any workplace, there's a lot of something called politics. Sometimes people get jobs because they're friends with the right people, not because they're capable. I can say whatever I want about Milot, my first boss, right? But he was probably the most capable and the most intelligent person I've ever worked with, right? And as much as I hated him, he did great work. And for that, I can never say anything about his talent. But the people who I work for right now, they're not very talented. They're not very intelligent. This is just a situation that I have found myself in, right? Whereas, there's not really anything that I can learn from these people. So it's a situation that has its challenges, right? It's a challenging situation, right? Situation. So we're going to talk about this, right? So one of the things is, a lot of times, in the beginning it was very frustrating for me, right? Because we would sit in a meeting, and then my boss would say something really stupid. He would just say something dumb, right? And when the boss of a group, right, says something dumb, and other people, his colleagues, catch it, it makes your whole group look bad, right? Because I don't have a choice. I'm a junior member of the team, right? I report to this guy, right? What he says I have to do, right? So, in the beginning, it was like, oh my God, we just, you're repeating something that someone else said 2 minutes ago. Like, are you not listening? Are you not paying attention? Like, what are you even thinking? Why are you saying this, right? So in the beginning, it was really, really frustrating. But one of the things I've had to learn over the years, and this is once again, it's something my earlier experiences have taught me, is patience. You know, I'll tell you something. It seems so simple, right? Just tolerate it. Don't worry about it. You just do your work, right? Just do your work, and you know everything else will be fine. You know, just do your duties, right? The things that you have to do. Make sure that they're all taken care of, and everything else will be fine. It's so easy to say that, right? Just be patient, but it's really, really hard when every single day, right? You have to. And Shinsuke, you've seen. Sometimes I write on Facebook about this stuff, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes so don't mind that. It's a difficult. Fashion retail is a difficult industry to work in. But what I will say is, like, over the years, I've had to really kind of develop patience, right? To understand that, you know what, just accept it. There's some things, right, that are always beyond your control, right? Some things are always beyond our control. Beyond. That's the most important thing. When something is beyond your reach, right, that means you can't reach it, right? You can't control it. So if it's beyond your control, don't let it bother you. You know, it's something that I sort of have to tell myself every single day. Because every day something happens where he looks like an idiot in front of other people, and people are just shaking their heads, right? But it's just something that you have to tolerate. You know, it's something you realize that he's not leaving the company. You know, and he's not going to get fired because, you know, because of workplace politics. You know, he has friends who are very powerful members of the company, right? So, you know, Shinsuke, I'm sure, have you seen a situation like this where sometimes you have bosses who are just pretty stupid, like you're like,
yeah.
Like, can you share any experiences that you have, or
like a stupid boss?
Yeah, like have you ever seen that situation, or have you ever had to deal with that situation?
Yeah. For example, like okay, so for example, like in a short discussion or like meeting,
Mm-hmm.
Some of like not the boss, but like
Colleagues.
Colleagues and like a senior
Mm-hmm.
respond in sudden, but I can easily understand that he cannot understand what the other person said.
Right.
And like sometimes like he's like they are like in general like
Mm-hmm.
many people in the higher level,
Mm-hmm.
even they are hired, they cannot
I see what you mean.
I've seen many times. Like,
Okay. So they can't. They say things that make you be like, well,
yeah,
you know,
like,
just
like they use difficult language, difficult words, but
they're not
if
saying anything.
Yeah. So they just how to say
they're saying, like, here's the thing, they're using difficult words, right?
Yeah,
but their message is kind of simple. But their message is really simple.
Simple, and sometimes they
Obvious.
just how to say
Repeat themselves. They keep repeating themselves.
Yeah.
Okay. So you see, like, a lot of people, right? Think about it, right? Who are senior, and you think that someone who's senior, right, is smart because he's been promoted, right? Clearly, he must have been promoted, right? But then you realize a lot of people are just given jobs, right? And they don't necessarily know what they're doing. They're not. We say sometimes that their position was not earned, right? You know, you earn a job, but we say their position was given, right? It wasn't earned. So those types of things are beyond your control. So you have to be patient about those, and it's a daily battle. And you're thinking it should be easy to be patient, right? But the truth is that people who work, right, we're also very competitive, right? People are competitive.